I'm Mehmet Yavuz. If I can get this slides working. So audio and slides, everything working fine? Awesome. Yeah, I'm Mehmet Yavuz. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Celona. Today, we're very excited to be here. I have here Hugo Perez from Palo Alto Networks. He's a solution architect. We have been working very closely with him. And I have our Director of Product Management, Prince Jose. So we will first give you an overview of the solution and then show you some cool demos. Thanks again for having us. A quick history. We started in 2019. That was our first Mobility Field Day, Mobility Field Day 4. At that time, Rajiv and I met with actually quite a few of you. We talked about the vision. We showed you the first solution. At that time, it was private LTE. Over the last 6 years, actually, we have done quite a bit. Now it's more about 5G. So today we'll talk to you about how we stay true to that vision and now what we are doing not only in US, but globally. Okay. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. First, I will show you a glimpse of the customer momentum, right? Since the last Mobility Field Day last year, over the last 12 months, we've been getting a lot of traction in the industrial space as private 5G deployments. We have many deployments now, not only in US, but globally, many places in Europe and Asia. I'll show you a few of those verticals. And then a very exciting thing that has been going on recently, which is we're going beyond private 5G. Now we are starting to offer what we call neutral host service, where we can broadcast the mobile network operator signal, so-called public cellular signal, in parallel to the private 5G solution. So I'll give you a glimpse of that. Then we'll go into how we are extending our zero trust solution with private cellular, our collaboration with our close partners, Palo Alto Networks. Hugo and Prince will give you a demo of that solution. Then we'll go into this 5G concept, right? As Tom mentioned, it started with 4G, but last year we introduced our product, 5G product, and we have been now deploying it in US and globally. And globally, there are new bands. We are supporting all these bands. We'll show you how we are making it easy for our customers to deploy 5G. And in US, some customers are transitioning from 4G to 5G. We have a unique product which can support both technologies on our AP. And we make it just very easy for our customers to transition from one technology to another. So this is very exciting for us. And again, 5G is enabling us to go globally. So I'll show you some of that too. In terms of agenda, again, we have a packed agenda. I'll give you some of the overview. I know some folks are not that familiar with Celona, so I'll give you a solution overview, give you an overview of these neutral host kind of deployments, our global deployments, and then we'll go into those demo sessions, right? We have 3 separate demos lined up, and I will end up with some conclusions, give you a glimpse of our roadmap. Actually, what we'll do is we'll show you the roadmap we told you last year, and I was very pleased to see pretty much all of those items are already done, and then we'll give you the roadmap for the next 12 months. Again, it's packed. I'm hoping we'll have some time in the end for Q&A, but of course, please don't hesitate for any questions or comments. That's the whole purpose. We really appreciate to be here to show you what we have and to get your feedback. Okay, so who we are is we are really a company focused on private 5G for enterprises, okay? And we take a lot of pride in this because compared to traditional vendors who have been doing cellular for typical mobile network operators, we are different, right? Our focus from the beginning has been enterprise networking. How can we bring that cellular technology, 4G and 5G, to enterprise space? That has been our mission. And on this mission, we have been blessed with Silicon Valley investors, tier 1 investors, VCs. We have strategic investors like Qualcomm, Digital Bridge, NTT, and we have lots of great partners. right? From the device side to the firewall side, security side, to the cloud. We work with a lot of partners to bring that end-to-end solution for our customers. And these are some sample customer logos that I'm showing. You'll see a lot of industrial customers, but we are also expanding beyond industrial with the neutral host service. So we'll show you examples of that. So there's a lot of traction, and a lot of these logos are global companies, right? So it's not only US, now we are expanding globally. Having said that, okay, where do we fit, right? Of course, Wi-Fi is a great success story. It works great in homes and offices, but there are some areas where the 5G technology, again, when I say 5G, by the way, think about it as 4G and 5G, okay, a combined umbrella. The cellular technology brings a lot of benefits, and it really complements Wi-Fi in many areas. And if you look at all those deployments, right, we have close to 200 different deployments today. What we see is these three different distinct areas. First is these large outdoor areas. Think about refineries, oil and gas, ports, yards. It's really challenging to cover these vast areas with Wi-Fi. Not only because of the size, but also it is a lot of structures, tanks and pipes and metal structures. And this is where we come in, right? Our base stations, APs, can transmit at much higher power. We can go to like 50-watt transmission in US, for example. So we can cover maybe up to a mile of radius with our APs. So that turns out to be a very clear use case. Usually the ROI is very clear. It's like no-brainer for many customers. The second place where we see a lot of benefits with our private 5G is what we call large open indoor environments, right? These are, think about some industrial manufacturing places, factories, and there are a lot of metal structures, RF blockage, reflections, and Wi-Fi really struggles with the dynamic, harsh RF environment. Interestingly, 5G benefits most of the time from those reflections with MIMO solutions and the channel estimation techniques used and so forth. So that turns out to be a really good fit for our deployments. And the third one is where you have this high mobility scenarios, right? Think about the warehouse with AGVs, robotics, AMRs going around. We have places where these AMRs, AGVs can go up to 30 miles an hour inside the facility. And there are some challenges with roaming in case of Wi-Fi in these environments. So that turns out to be a great fit for our use cases, though. So in these environments, what do we provide, right? We are really an end-to-end solution from the SIM, like either a physical SIM or an embedded SIM that goes to the devices, to the APs, both 4G and 5G, and indoor and outdoor. No IP. To the Celona Edge, which is the core network functionality in 3GPP terms, but it also provides all the OS layer, which enables us to integrate with the enterprise network, right? To integrate with their DHCP servers, to their identity management servers, to their firewalls. So that's our integration point to the enterprise LAN. And everything is managed with our cloud orchestrator. So it's a single place where customers and partners log in. It's a multi-site, multi-tenant solution. So it's a modern cloud-based architecture that we use for managing. And on top of this, now the exciting part is you'll see this Celona Muxon, which stands for Multi-Operator Exchange Network. With that, now we can connect to the operator cores, like MNO cores, like the T-Mobile and AT&T, and bring their service to this network as well. So it's a complete solution. And we take great pride in terms of how well we integrate with enterprises, in terms of simplicity like Wi-Fi, right? From the start, you guys will remember our mission was to make it as simple and scalable as Wi-Fi. And that we really do in our deployments. But the other thing is QoS, right? QoS is a big deal. one of the main reasons our customers like to use cellular technology is to guarantee certain quality of service. So for that, we have our micro-slicing feature. We can create different slices with different data rate guarantees, different latency guarantees, different packet data rate guarantees. I'll show you some examples of that. And now, as I said, it's not only a private solution, but we can also broadcast the public network IDs from the same network. So if you walk into a facility with your T-Mobile phone, for example, you can automatically connect to the same network.
That's pretty great.
On the roadmap, are you going to offer 5G standalone products capabilities?
Yeah, great question. So the private 5G solution is a standalone solution.
Okay.
So we have 4G standalone or 5G standalone. Customers can choose in US between the two. In Europe and Asia, globally, it's mainly 5G bands that are available for private deployment. So it's a 5G standalone deployment as a private 5G. So we don't need to have LTE as a non-standalone solution.
Okay. Okay, I was seeing converged 4G, 5G.
Yeah, so good point. So in our edge, we support both 4G core and 5G core. So we can operate in either mode. But you don't need both at the same time, right? For example, in Germany, when they deploy, it's a 5G band, 5G standalone deployment.
Very good. Helpful.
Is there another?
So you said there is global offering of Celona, right?
Yeah.
So would you partner or already partnered with the local mobile providers, or you have your own?
It's a great point. So we have different types of partners. These are our go-to-market channel partners and managed service provider partners. For example, we have partners like NTT or Verizon.
Right.
Like Verizon US is a partner, but it is in CBRS band, right? In out of US areas, so we have both. We can have a mobile network operator as a partner, and in some cases, we may end up using some spectrum from them.
Right.
Or we can have more traditional Wi-Fi, like managed service providers, or even VARs as our partners. So it's kind of a wide spectrum of partners we work with.
Thanks.
And on that note, another important point is 5G in US is CBRS band, but globally now we have like N78, N77, N79, different bands we need to support. There's one difference from Wi-Fi, right? Wi-Fi obviously is 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz pretty much globally. In 5G, there are more bands, and depending on the region, you may have a specific band you need to support. And we have gone through that effort over the last 1 year to support pretty much all those bands needed. All right, so we're all geeks. We like to look at architectures and so forth. So I really wanted to show you this. It may be a little bit much in terms of detail, but I think it shows a lot of concepts together. So on the left side, basically, you see on the top some devices, right? These are some examples. You can have maybe machines with PLCs. You can have surveillance cameras. You can have AGVs. And some of these devices, is it okay if I walk here? I have the camera, I guess, right? So some of these end devices may not even have cellular connectivity, and they may be connected through an IoT gateway, right? From Sierra or DG or Cradlepoint, which has the 5G connectivity. And then we provide the SIM cards that goes into these devices. Our APs directly plug and play to the network, right? We connect directly to the existing switches. And our indoor APs are PoE powered. And all these different traffic are carried over our microslices, but we tie our microslices to the VLANs of the enterprise. For example, in the enterprise, machines can be on one VLAN, cameras may be on a different VLAN, AGVs may be on a different VLAN. So we tie those VLANs to our microslices with specific QoS requirements. For example, cameras may have a guaranteed uplink data rate of, let's say, 10 megabits per second. The AGVs may have certain latency requirements. The machines may have certain latency and packet data rate requirements. For example, PLCs need very tight and guaranteed latency. So all of those we manage through our microslicing. As I said, our edge sits inside the enterprise typically, although now we are providing the ability to move the edge to the cloud as well. And all these different applications may be running locally. For example, the cameras may have a local computer vision server, or the application may be running through the cloud. And each of them can have different QSs.
You mentioned you're moving the edge to the cloud, right? Will that capability, once that becomes available, will you be able to allow us to locally bridge traffic as well?
Great question. Yes. Yes. So that's in our roadmap too. But today, most of our customers do this,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
It's similar to a Wi-Fi controller, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as we move the edge, now at that point, we will have the ability to break out traffic locally from the APs. And even at the extreme, if you have branch office kind of scenarios, you can have just an AP sitting there in a branch office, and that's it. You don't need any other hardware in that location, right?
Well, the only thing that comes into play, because it has to tunnel back, right? All the traffic.
Not all the traffic, no. I mean, the control plane needs to tunnel back, but the data plane, the traffic, the actual data can stay locally. We can break off the data locally, even without the edge. That's what we call edgeless architecture.
Oh, so you can do that right now, you're saying?
We haven't commercially offered it yet,
Okay.
but that's going to come later this year. That ability will come.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
But great question. Okay, moving on. Just wanted to give you a glimpse of like what are these deployments, what are the use cases, right? So here you see examples like oil and gas. Connected worker is a big deal, especially in these large oil and gas refineries and facilities. We create different microslices for applications like Microsoft Teams because they want to have this interactive capability for the actual workers. We have AGVs, forklifts that we support in warehouses or even manufacturing environments. We have yard deployments and ports where you have surveillance cameras or scanners. We have automotive factory deployments where they started with some automated trucks. Like AGVs, they have even trucks automated that can go in their facility carrying parts and even cars from one place to another. But then now we are starting to go inside those automotive factories and in the assembly lines, having deployments and so forth. And we also saw manufacturing deployments where they are connecting actual PLCs for their machines. And actually, Hugo will show that in his demo a little later. So really a spectrum of applications in this industrial space happening. And all of these customers, well, pretty much most of these customers are global, right? We started with deployments in US, but they're expanding globally. And as I said, there are different bands we needed to support, but now we have all those bands supported. And there are many countries now our product supports deployments, right? In North America, South America, we have European Union countries like Germany, France, UK. Then we have now deployments that are coming up in Saudi Arabia and Middle East. On the Asia side, we have India, Japan, Korea. All of these different regions now our products can support for these multinational global companies. So this is all exciting, all in the industrial space, but I also mentioned we have this 5-part cellular coverage, which is also neutral host. And the way that works is this part is the private 5G, right? We have our APs, we typically have an edge, you can have some applications running on that private network. And this is the example of a hospital, for example, right? You can have doctors and nurses maybe using some handheld devices as part of the private network. But these facilities have lots of customers, visitors, patients that may not have the SIM associated with the private network. They walk in, for example, with a T-Mobile phone or an AT&T phone. Now we can broadcast that T-Mobile PLMN or the AT&T PLMN, think about it like a different SSID, from the same AP. And actually, this AP can have both 4G and 5G too. And this traffic for the operators are tunneled back through our multi-operator exchange network gateway to the core of each operator. So one
That gateway is different than the edge.
it is different than the edge.
Okay, all right.
Because the traffic is tunneled, right? The private 5G traffic is tunneled to the edge,
Yeah.
and the operator traffic through an IP stack is tunneled to the Muxon, which is cloud hosted.
Cloud hosted.
Cloud
Okay,
hosted.
okay, copy.
Yeah. And from there, we go to the operator's core network separately. We have separate tunnels to each operator.
And is that hosted in the Celona cloud, or is that hosted in the operator's cloud, or?
It's not operator's cloud. It's our VPC environment. It's
Okay.
our VPC environment, and there are strict security and reliability requirements that we meet. All of that good stuff we do.
Okay.
Are you planning on picking up Verizon, Google, or BT, Deutsche Telekom, any other global?
Yeah. I mean, right now, our ability is with T-Mobile, we commercially announced. AT&T, we are in the certification. We'll announce later in the summer, commercial solution. Verizon, we are in discussions. I cannot give an exact date. Now, any MVNO of these operators, we already support. For example, given that T-Mobile, we commercially support, Google Fi already works. Because from a phone's perspective, this AP looks just like a T-Mobile base station, right? It connects to it just like any other base station. So we have actually tested, Google Fi. It's interesting that you brought that example. So it already works because they have that MVNO relationship with T-Mobile, right? So in US, right now, I mean, it's really these three big operators we are focusing on and all the MVNOs associated with them. Now, globally, we are in discussions with the European operators and elsewhere. I cannot give you exact dates, but we are looking at it very closely globally as well. All right, and what does this help us? This helps us to move from more industrial verticals to the so-called carpeted verticals, right? We are seeing a lot of interest from universities, from hospitals, from office spaces, because now this solution can provide you E911 ability, wireless emergency alerts. It can give you wireless priority services for the first responders. And also your phone will work natively, right? Even if you don't connect the Wi-Fi. Because there's always this question, okay, you can do Wi-Fi calling, why would you need this, and so forth. So this emergency is a very critical aspect. This E911, wireless emergency alert, wireless priority services, and so forth.
Are you getting support for FirstNet in those groups?
FirstNet is a separate band, but what we need to support is the wireless priority services. So if a first responder comes in with their phones, we need to give priority for their traffic over other phones because they have different kind of SIMs that we support. So it's all the requirements of the operators apply here, basically.
So I think I'm going back a couple slides. When it comes to global, yes, in the US it's called CBRS. In other parts of the world it's called whatever. How are you designing your devices? Do they have all these bands and just enabled per region, or they're just actually constructed with a region in mind?
Okay, very good question. So there is some differences in terms of what network ID we use, the PLMN ID. So in Germany, we may use a different PLMN ID than UK or US. And the bands are different. But the general operation of the device is the same, right? These devices pretty much are global now, right? When you take your phone from US and fly to Europe or Asia, the phone works. Or even Zebra tablets or IoT gateways. So those devices are capable of multiple bands globally. But in every country, there is a specific network, the PLMN. For a private network, there's a specific network ID we may need to broadcast and specific band, but it comes with the SIM, right? As we provide the SIM, the phone knows how to connect to the specific PLMN and the band. So it is working quite well, honestly, so far in a bunch of different countries that we deploy. I know I'm already be on time, and I'm getting the looks from there. So I will just, I was going to give you a case study. Maybe I'll just say one word. So we have done a bunch of neutral host deployments, this 5-bar cellular service. So one use case is Stanford Healthcare. So I'll just leave it there as we transition maybe to the next session.
Before you go off, can you spend 30? We've
Sure.
all watched you from startup, launch and all that fun stuff. Can you spend 30 seconds and give us a state of the business from a funding growth perspective? Anything at all you can share with us about how things are going?
I mean, things are going quite well. Honestly, this transition to 5G, going global, and opening this neutral host as a totally different dimension is a lot of stuff for us. Like, we are going at like full cycle on all of these different areas. And we are really trying to make sure we're not promising something we cannot deliver. And we are going at the speed of what we can achieve as a young company, right? I mean, I would love to tell you, look, we are going 10x every year.
Yeah.
Maybe demand is there, but there is only certain amount of capacity we have. So we are pretty much limited by that. But our revenue is growing very well, definitely in line with our projections. And actually, last 3 quarters, we exceeded our projections.
And you guys are in your second round of funding?
We have done Series C, third round of funding.
Third round, okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you.
First.
How long have you been doing the neutral host component, and what success have you seen with it?
That has been in the works for almost 2 years now, honestly. Okay, and that's partly because we are at the forefront of it. We have been defining parts of different aspects.
Yeah.
And when I say 2 years, that's from when we started working with the operators, right? Mm-hmm. And we announced our contract signature with T-Mobile last September.
Okay.
And then we announced our commercial service just, I think, 2 months back with T-Mobile. Now, AT&T, we are in certifications. We'll announce our commercial service later in summer. So that's kind of the journey we have been on. In terms of commercial deployments, we started with our initial commercial deployments like in the last 2 months, pretty much.
Oh, okay. And how's the relationship with Aruba been? I know you guys there's like a co-op purchase agreement that you guys had there. You could buy it as an Aruba part number. How's that? Did that ever bring anything to light?
No, I mean, with Aruba, we have, of course, like we have a lot of folks coming from Aruba as well, right? We have very close relationship with Aruba, and we had that reseller agreement with them. Now, I mean, they are going through some phase in terms of their merger and so forth,
buying
right?
Other companies.
Yeah. So we'll see how it all plays out in terms of what the future holds. I'm not like I cannot tell, but what we do is, I mean, we can work with pretty much, like, it doesn't matter honestly for us who is the Wi-Fi provider in a place, right? When we deploy in all these logos, they may have Wi-Fi solution from any vendors, and we come in and we connect to the same LAN, maybe any switch or any other Wi-Fi. But we are looking closely in terms of how can we just provide additional value to the end customers. That's always something at the top of our minds, right? And all of our APIs are open in our orchestrator. So you can ingest the APIs from the private 5G, and you can even combine with the Wi-Fi side. We have done some of that with Mist, for example, in terms of integrating the 2 management systems into one. So we are very open in terms of working with different vendors on that side.